Welcome to the Mohali School Electrical Technology Learning Paper for Year 4, Quarter 2, 2025. There are two different types of crimping tools. We've got a hydraulic crimping tool and a handheld crimping tool. The hydraulic crimping tool uses hydraulic power to apply terminals or splices, and the handheld crimping tool is available in different lengths and sizes. Identify different types of crimp terminals. Two main classes of wire crimps exist. Closed barrel crimps have a cylindrical opening for wire, and the crimping tool deforms the original circular cross-section of the terminal into some other shape. This method of crimping is less resistant to vibration. The open barrel crimp have ears of metal that are shaped like a V or a U, and the crimp terminal bends and folds them over the wire prior to swagging the wire to the terminal. Open barrel terminals are claimed to be easier to automate because of avoiding the need to funnel stranded wire into narrow opening of barrel terminals. In addition to their shape, crimp connectors can also be categorized by their insulation, insulated and non-insulated, and whether they crimp onto the conductors of wire, it's wire crimps, or its insulation, it's called insulated crimps. There are a whole lot of different crimp shapes. Make sure you learn a few of them. We got the C crimp, the D crimp, the F crimp, the O crimp, the W crimp, the overlap crimp, the oval crimp, full mandrel crimp, mandrel crescent crimp, mandrel crimp narrow indented, hexagonal crimp, mandrel indent crimp, square crimp, trapezial crimp, trapezial indent crimp, trapezial crimp front, Tycho crimp, and a western crimp. Here are some examples of the shapes of the crimps and why it is called the names that it is called. So after it's crimped, the crimp terminal will be in these shapes. You can look at them and then maybe understand better why they give them their names. When we get to reticulation methods, there are two methods to remember. There's the underground method and the overhead method. We will be looking at the advantages of both of them. Here we can see the difference between the two. On the left is the underground cables in a cable trench, and on the right, power and utility cables hang from poles on a street in Tokyo, Japan. Here we got a typical trenching machine trenching through a field. Remember, the minimum depth that armored cables must be buried is 0.5 meters. This image shows a typical cable plow with the cable inserted in the ground. Let's look at overhead versus underground advantages of each. The overheads. Cost. Overhead's number one advantage, significantly less cost, especially initial cost. Longer life, 30 to 50 years versus 20 to 40 years for new underground works. Reliability. Shorter outage durations because of faster fault finding and faster repair. Loading. Overhead circuits can more readily withstand overloads. If we look at the underground. Aesthetics. Underground's number one advantage, much less visual clutter. Safety. Less chance of public contact. reliability, significantly fewer short and long duration interruption, operation and maintenance, notably lower maintenance costs, no tree trimming, longer reach, less voltage drop because resistance is lower. In urban areas, underground is almost the only choice. Too many circuits are needed and above ground space is too expensive or just not available. But urban duct bank construction is expensive on a per length basis. Fortunately, circuits are short in urban applications. On many rural applications, the cost of underground circuit is difficult to justify, especially on long, lightly loaded circuits, given the small number of customers that these circuits feed. Aesthetics is the main driver towards underground circuits, especially in residential areas, parks, wildlife areas, and scenic areas. Visual impact is important. Undergrounding removes a significant amount of visual clutter. Overhead circuits are ugly. The jointing method of a cable can be divided into four main steps. Firstly, strip off the insulation of the cable. Secondly, select the type of joint that's going to be made. And then after the joint, thirdly, close the joint. And lastly, test the joint. If we look at insulated trim terminals, they are normally color-coded for different sizes of wires. The red one is for thinner wire, the minimum area 0.25 millimeters up to 1.65 millimeters of cable. Current rating of this is 19 amps. Material contact is copper. The material insulation is colored vinyl. Plating contact is electroplated tint. The temperature range is from 85 degrees centigrade on the max up to minus 20 degrees Celsius on the minimum. And it's rated for a voltage of up to 415 volts. The application, we use it to crimp onto 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeter cable. Then we get the blue one, which is for a little bit thicker wire. The minimum wire size 1.04 millimeter, the maximum 2.63 millimeters. The current rating for this one is 27 amps. The rest is all the same and up to even the same voltage rating as 4.15 millimeter. And we typically use it for the 2.5 millimeter square cable. Then we get the yellow one. The minimum size of wire is 2.63 millimeter square and the maximum 6.64 millimeter square. The current rating for this one is 48 amps. The rest is all the same as the others, even the voltage rating stays at 415 volts. We typically use this one for 4 millimeter and 6 millimeter cables. Once the cable is joined, you can test your work. The first test is mechanical. You will physically pull on the wires. The wires should not pull free from the crimp when applying reasonable force. A visible inspection should also be made to ensure that none of the conductors is exposed at the end of the insulation on the crimp connector. To test electrically, find where the cable you have prepared connects to the existing circuit at both ends. Disconnect both ends. At one end, twist the phase, neutral and earth wires together. Now, use a multimeter on the low ohms range to measure the resistance between phase and neutral phase and earth, and neutral and earth at the untwisted ends of the cable. The two readings taken with the earth wire ought to be equal, much larger than the phase neutral one, since the earth wire is typically thinner than the phase neutral wire. Name 4 methods to join cables. You can solder, you can use a waterproof joint, you can use heat shrink, and you can use crimping to join cables. Identify different types of insulation. Material like PVC, glass, asbestos, rigid laminate, varnish, resin, paper, Teflon, and rubber are very good electrical insulators. The most significant insulating material is air. Here are some tools that we use in the electrical workshop. First is a measuring tape, and a utility knife, combination pliers, hand file, fish tape, flat screwdriver, soldering iron, a multimeter, a hacksaw, helping hand, a wire stripper, long nose pliers, a megger, a Phillips screwdriver, a hickey, bending spring, steel ruler, side cutter, engineer's vise, and engineer's square. The electricity rules that you need to know. Respect the subject and know the dangers. Make sure the power is switched off when you work on electrical equipment. Do not tamper with electricity. None of the panel board's power will be switched on without the teacher. Water and electricity does not mix. Be careful when you work with electrical equipment. Don't work with equipment if there is no supervision or if you don't know how to use the equipment. Here is a list of components that must be in a first aid kit. Plasters in various sizes, sterile gauze dressing, sterile eye dressing, triangular bandages, prepped roll bandages, safety pins, disposable gloves, tweezers, scissors, alcohol-free cleaning wipes, sticky tape, thermometer, skin rash cream, painkillers, cough medicine, antihistamine tablets, distilled water, and eye wash. Thank you for watching this presentation. All of the best for the exam.